Can't have a good bike video without having a sexy intro like that. Hello everyone, I am Bob.
I'm Carrie.
This is 25 Plus Life, and this, can you believe it's been a year since we launched our video of the Rattan bikes? Crazy. Since then we've been to Key West, we've been all over Florida, we've been up and down the East Coast, we've taken these bikes out in Maine, we have taken these bikes everywhere. And we noticed that, wow, that little video that we did in New Hampshire when we first got these bikes has blown up. In one of our top watch videos, that means that people had a lot of interest in these bikes, more so than we thought. And two, the amount of questions that we received has been quite surprising. So we want to do a follow-up a year later, what it's like when we still recommend the bikes, but we still recommend some upgrades that we did, and what we feel now. And first and foremost, something I want to address off the last video was that on Carrie's bike, which is in the back of the truck, we didn't pull it out for this video, was the motor. Yeah. And the time frames that it took to get back and forth in communication with somebody over in China for that motor was lengthy. And I think it took almost 6 weeks between the initial conversation, back and forth with videos, broken English, things of that nature, and just a communication barrier. They did send out a new motor, just like promised. They sent out a video on how to replace it. They even offered $50 towards taking it to a bike shop and having the motor put in. So I will say, once you get past those little things, we have no complaints, and they did an excellent job. So covering over my bike and some of the things that I think this was the most modded between the two bikes. Oh yeah. It had the most upgrades. And a couple of things I want to address right off the bat is the seat that came with this bike was trash. After about a minute of riding it, it's pretty clear that's not going to be a long-term solution, and nor do I expect it to be. So with this here, I upgraded to the Whitcop Medicus seat. It was a very highly recommended seat off of Amazon. Very happy that I went with this. It's a breathable, and it has a little cushion to it, like a gel memory foam type thing. That was probably the biggest improvement right off the bat. The second, these are minor, but for the way we travel, this was very important to us to have, which is the cup holder. I believe this is just a generic cup holder off of Amazon. It swivels. The reason I like that it swivels, not that I carry my cups up here, but because when I go to fold this, it's just a way to get this out of the way. And secondly, I have a retractable cell phone cover holder. And the reason why this is important is that we use this a lot of places that we go, we don't know. And I don't know the streets. It was invaluable in Key West. Oh, yeah. We just ran Google Maps, we ran it in bike mode, and then I had GPS the whole time. That was very useful there. And then the other thing is a side mirror. And in real estate, becomes on this handlebar becomes very crowded very quickly. So getting some of these things in here takes a little bit of finagling. But this here is a folding mirror. It's nice to be able to keep track of Carrie when she's a mile behind me. So that has become very handy, especially in Disney's Fort Wilderness. Other than that, the front end really doesn't change much as far as I'm concerned. Nothing I needed to do there. Bring it to the back of the bike. Another thing that I found to be crucial to have is some kind of storage for when we travel. So this bike bag system is by Sahu, and I'm probably butchering that, but it has a detachable backpack, so it just pulls off, and then you could even pull this over like saddlebags, throw them over your shoulder. The bench that comes with this on the back is useless. You might as well just rip it off, because I don't think you're going to do anything with it, except for hold some bags, maybe a crate or something along that lines. And that's really the gist of what we've done as far as upgrading, with the exception of one important thing, and that is the slime in the tires. These tires, if you don't own one of these bikes already, then I'm just going to spill it for you. If you already own one of these bikes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These tires are incredibly thin. Any 4-inch fat bike tire is thin, except for like a motorcycle style tire. And you either need to tube these with a heavy-duty tube, or at the very least you're going to need to slime them. If you don't, you're going to have a flat tire your first ride out. It's just inevitable. There may be one exception, because there always is, but for the most part, slime your tires, have tubes put in, like a heavy-duty tube, and you'll have hours and hours of going. As far as charging goes, charging is very simple. They give you a supply charger. Us being lucky with the two bikes, we have one for our home base and we have one for our Winnebago, which is over there. And we very seldom have to charge these things. I think we get, what, 50 miles off a charge, so we're not really riding 50 miles in a shot. So they do a phenomenal job as far as that goes. Cost-wise, we paid for these, and yes, we actually paid for these, not like the 1,000 other reviews for electric and everybody else that got free bikes in the mail. We paid about $1,200 a piece for these bikes, and to me, it was worth it. I think when we took these out in Fort Wilderness and did not have to rent a golf cart or anything like that, it's been great. The downside to these is storage and folding. Folding them up, it's not very difficult. There's a little latch on the side. I'm not going to go breaking down the bike. I think we've all seen this, but there's a pin you pull up, you slide the latch over, the bike folds in half, and then there's also another mechanism here that you pull out, drops the handlebars down. As far as the process to fold this up goes, pretty easy, not so bad. The problem becomes they're heavy. These are heavy bikes. These are tall bikes. And putting something like this into the back of the truck could be kind of a pain. That being said, we started like everybody else did with these bikes and electric bikes, and everybody's recommended getting these big, gigantic storage boxes. And these storage boxes cost anywhere between $60 to $100. And they're just basically a big plastic tote. You fold the bike in half, you stick it in the tote, and then Carrie and I pick it up and put it in. And we did that for about a month. And then the totes broke. And we said, wow, we spent all this money on these totes, and they broke because, you know, the bike falls over and whatever. In our situation, it was a pretty easy fix. And I'll show you, as Carrie's is in the back of our truck, we have the cap on, and from here, we just fold it in half, and there's actually these straps, which these are from our kayaks, and we use them on the anchor points. My bike sits over here, her bike sits over here, and that's pretty much all we do. This way here, we always have our bikes with us. We don't have to worry about theft so much because it's inside. We don't have to worry about weather because they're always covered. And if we have an impromptu bike ride, that's it. As far as age groups for these bikes, I can see really any age group using this, with the exception of young kids, because it is a it's a tall bike. Pretty tall bike. I'm a little taller than my counterpart here, who's about 4 foot tall. Now,
I am 5'5".
She's 5'5", and I will say
still have to.
She has to jump up a little bit. So these bikes, really, if you're 5'5" and below, probably are not the bike for you, just because they are tall. And that's no 5'5" and up. I think you're okay. Let's rephrase that. 5'5" and up, you're okay. 5'4" and below. Unless you're a gymnast and you're going to need some kind of to jump up and down. Other than that, I can't think of anything bad to say about these bikes. No, and it's still a learning process. Like, I like it, and it's fun, except when I go to stop, right? Yep. So, like, you have to, you put this, like, you put it down to 1 like you're supposed to, and then you put the brake on, right? And so you're stopped. Well, the problem is when you let go of that again, because it's still on 1, it jerks you forward. If you don't come to a complete... put it to 0. Yeah, and that is something to keep in mind with these bikes. With pedal assist, if you leave pedal assist on at a stop, the minute you let go and you touch your pedals, you're off and running to the races. And that did take a little bit of getting used to. It still does. It still does for Carrie. The other thing I want to point out real quick is taking these through Fort Wilderness at night. The stock headlights on this thing. If you had told me I'd ever use a headlight on a bike, I tell you, you were silly. because I'm old school and you just don't, right? These lights are amazing, and they lit up the entire roadway for us, and we just rode down and just, you know, it is really a well thought out piece of equipment, with the exception of this little tiny bell. This is might as well just be. And that is the bell that came with it. I only leave it there because I think it's absolutely hysterical when I pull up next to a motorcycle or something. I just, you know, little ding. But nobody's hearing that. You might as well just rip that off, throw it away. I just leave it there because I know, like, it drives her nuts. But other than that, no issues. The paint and finish, we do have a couple of wear spots, and this is mostly because I don't put anything in between, and I probably should when folding this in half. The brakes have not been an issue for us. Everything seems to be still, after 1 year, holding up pretty good. So now we're giving you everything, our thoughts and where we stand with these bikes. The big question is, will we do it again? And I think,
Would we purchase these again?
yeah.
I would.
And I think, hands down, over our dealing with the people at Electric Bike, I just don't trust them. And there's, go back and watch the first video as to why. Numerous failed orders, and the more that people watch that video, the more I get emails about similar dealings with them. They pass themselves off as an American company, but really these bikes are made the same Chinese factory next to the 1,000 other bikes on Amazon. And I think for what it is, these bikes were the best, hands down. That's it. So that's it. If you have any other questions or comments or concerns, or, you know, should we do a more in-depth video on these bikes, let us know in the comments below. If not, we appreciate you watching. If you have a moment and you learned something here, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. We appreciate even more, and it costs you nothing. Subscribe to the channel, because you never know where we're going to pop up with these bikes, with our Winnebago, with our truck. We pop up anywhere. And quite honestly, we're done with the East Coast. It's been real, folks. It's time to start heading out west and start covering more of the U.S. out there. So it might be something you want to check out. Till then, thank you. And you know what's great about this?
What's that?
I'm going to leave it right here. We're just two old dudes with electric bikes. Oh, an old dude and an old dude.
I was going to say,
Yeah. So if we can
Yes.
do this, if you're still here, if we can do this, you can too. And if you're looking for something that gives you just a little more mobility and a little way around seeing something
We'll
else.
see what sold me, though. There was an older couple than us that had them.
Yep.
And that really got us. I was like, okay, so like this isn't for the 20 and 30, like I can do this.
Yeah, you can
'Cause
really
I don't
be
ride a bike,
any
ever.
age group, and we see
Ever.
we're pushing 50 at this point, and we see a lot of people within our age group, and we see a lot of people older than us.
Yeah, it's
with
great.
these as well.
Like, cool.
And it just gives you that little bit of freedom to go a little further than you probably would have gone on foot.
Most definitely.
That's it. Simple review. Try to get in there as much. There's so much going on with these bikes, but they really do bring out the kid with you. And I'm going to tell you right now that if you ride this bike somewhere, be prepared for people to talk to you. It's just inevitable. Everybody wants to know what they are. Everybody wants to know all about them. That still hasn't worn off. So that's it. So now,
So now my next upgrade is going to be one of these things. So when you take off on me again, I have my own GPS.
And this is what I go through. Thank you very much.